Hey, what's up guys, Brian here. So for today, we're gonna talk about a very exciting archetype that everybody is raving about, the blue hybrids. With BT07 just a few days away, some of you might be wondering which of the two main hybrid archetypes would be stronger in the meta. This still all boils down to which playstyle do you actually prefer. So the blue hybrid is more of the control-ish aggro, while the red one is all about hitting them hard, really hard. So on this video, let's talk about the blue hybrid archetype. So let's start off with our Digitama. So we have the 4 copies of Upamon. So yes, Upamon is just the best Digitama I think for blue at the moment, since whenever we attack and we have Upamon as our ESS, we get to draw a card if our opponent has a Digimon without any Digivolution source. So that additional draw is actually really crucial on this kind of deck, because as you will see later on my deck preview, you would need a lot of cards on your hand so that you can actually just cheat on Digivolving onto your Magnagarurumon. Now we're done with our Digitama, let's move on with our level 3s. First, we have the 4 copies of Strabimon. So yes, we have a lot of Strabimons on this deck, but now let's talk about first the BT04 Strabimon. So the BT04 Strabimon, what he does is, on play, we got to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, and we can add 1 Digimon card with Hybrid on its side and 1 blue Tamer card among them onto our hand. So this is more like a 2-for-1 card if you're actually lucky, wherein actually we are running tons of Tamers on this deck list. That's why there's a high chance that we would actually get a 2-for-1 for this Strabimon. So next on our rookie list, we have the 4 copies of the BT06 Strabimon. So what this Strabimon does is pretty simple. Whenever we attack, and if our Digimon has hybrid form or 10 warriors on its side, we gain +1 memory. Most of our level 4 or level 5 and even the level 6's Digimon are actually just hybrid Digimon. So 100% of the time we would actually trigger the Strabimon effect, which is +1 memory. Okay, moving on to our last Strabimon on this deck list, we have the 4 copies of the new Strabimon from BT07. So what this Strabimon does is, on play, we get to reveal the top 4 cards of our deck, and we can add 1 card with Hybrid in its trait, Susanomon, or Koji Minamoto among them onto our hand. Last on our rookie list are the 2 copies of Madoki Betamon. So ever since Madoki Betamon came out on BT06, he just wreaks havoc against an opposing blue player. So if you're against another blue Tamer, I mean if you're up against a player who plays a blue deck, then Madoki Betamon is your best counter for those Hammer Sparks, even those clutch Ice Walls. So having 2 copies of Madoki Betamon is really crucial just to prevent those additional plus memories from your opponent. Now we're moving on to our level 4s. All of our level 4s here are actually hybrid Digimons which can Digivolve from a Tamer, so it is really good to take note that even your Tamer can be considered as a rookie on this kind of deck list. So first of our level 4 list is the 3 copies of the new BT07 card, Kumamon. So what Kumamon does is, whenever we Digivolve him, we can Digivolve him from a Tamer, and whenever we Digivolve into Kumamon, we get to trash 1 Digivolution card from the bottom of our opponent's deck. So this is really useful just in case you want to strip some of those pesky Digitamas from your opponent so that they can trigger those Digitamas, since we are gonna discard those Digivolution sources whenever they Digivolve into Kumamon. So next on our list are the 3 copies of Korikakumon. So what Korikakumon does is, yes, he costs 3 to Digivolve from a level 3 or 1 to Digivolve from another level 4. But if we are actually Digivolving from a Tamer, Korikakumon's Digivolution cost is just 2. So whenever we Digivolve into Korikakumon, if a card with Hybrid on its trait or a Tomihime is in our Digivolution card, then one of our opponent's Digimon without any Digivolution sources can't attack. So it's actually a really good defensive card just in case you are in a really big pinch wherein your opponent has just multiple attacks and you're just gonna lose on your next turn. And suddenly you have a Korikakumon, you Digivolve into him, and you can prevent 1 attack of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution sources. So Korikakumon is a really good defensive card as well as an offensive card on this deck list. Okay, moving on to our next level 4, we have the 2 copies of the BT04 Lobomon. So Lobomon is the OG hybrid Digimon on this deck list. because ever since BT04, Lobomon has been wreaking havoc on every blue decks. So Lobomon is just your let's say he's a vanilla hybrid Digimon on this deck list. Okay, next on our level 4 list, we have another new hybrid Digimon from BT07, which is Magnagarurumon, but from BT07. So what Magnagarurumon does is, whenever we digivolve him, I mean, we also cost 3 to digivolve if we are digivolving from a level 3 Digimon, and 1 cost to digivolve if we are digivolving from another level 4 Digimon. So as a bonus, if we are digivolving from a tamer, he only costs 2, just like Korikakumon. And his effect is, whenever we digivolve, if we digivolve from a hybrid on its trait or Koji Minamoto, this Digimon gets jamming. So he gets free attacks whenever we digivolve from Koji or another hybrid Digimon. Next up is our only level 5 Digimon on this deck list, which is the BT07 Beowulfmon. So what Beowulfmon does is, whenever we have a tamer card on its Digivolution source, Beowulfmon Digivolution cost is actually reduced by 2. So you only have to pay 1 memory to digivolve into Beowulfmon, which is really crazy in my opinion. So let's say if you have like a Davis, which gives you like a sure 3 memory to start with on the start of your turn, and then we digivolve him into a level 4 hybrid for 2 cost, suddenly we can turn our Digimon into a level 5 for just 1 cost. So Beowulfmon is a really memory efficient Digimon to digivolve to. As a bonus, whenever Beowulfmon attacks, we can return one of our Digimon card with hybrid on its type, and in return we can bounce one of our opponent's Digimon, one of our opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So Beowulfmon is not only an offensive card, but as well as a really good defensive card whenever we just wanna maybe bounce those blockers or even bounce those pesky level 3s that are actually giving tons of pressure on your security pile. We are now finally moving on to our boss Digimon, which is Magnagarurumon. So what Magnagarurumon does is, actually it has 2 effects. First is whenever he digivolves, and second is whenever he attacks. So whenever he digivolves or attacks once per turn, we can return one of our Digimon cards with hybrid on its form from our Digivolution source, and we get to return one of our opponent's Digimon with the same level as that card that we return onto our hand. So for example, if we digivolve into Magnagarurumon and we chose to maybe return a Strabimon from his source onto our hand, then we can bounce one of our opponent's level 3 Digimon, and if we like return a Beowulfmon onto our hand, then we can bounce our opponent's level 5 or so, level 5 Digimon. So Magnagarurumon, not only he can be a defensive card for this deck, but as well as a very good offensive one, because another of his effects are, once per turn, whenever it's our turn, when our hand is increased by an effect, we get to unsuspend one of our Digimon. So do take note that it is not limited to unsuspending Magnagarurumon. For example, if you have a Susanamon on beside Magnagarurumon, and then suddenly you trigger Magnagarurumon's effect, you can unsuspend your Susanamon, which attacked earlier and gave a security +2 attack. So yeah, you can do tons of pressure with the combo of Magnagarurumon. So we're done with our main hybrid Digimons. Let's talk about now the other Digimons which I included on this deck list. So first of them is the 2 copies of Bokumon. So what Bokumon does is, we get to reveal 5 cards from our top of our deck. Then we can add 1 hybrid in its form or 10 warriors in its type, and 1 tamer card among them onto our hands. So just like Strabimon, this is more like a 2-for-1 card, but this time he actually digs up to 5 cards from the top of our deck. So as a bonus, Bokumon has actually another effect, which is on our turn, once per turn, whenever we digivolve from our tamer, we gain +2 memories. So basically, most of our level 4 hybrid evolutions from our tamer will be free if Bokumon is on the field. Okay, lastly on our added Digimons on this deck list, we have the 2 copies of Susanamon. So Susanamon unfortunately isn't a hybrid Digimon, so please do take note of that. And Susanamon's effect is, by placing 10 cards that are tamer or Digimon cards with hybrid on its form onto our hand or trash, to the bottom of one of our tamers, we can Digivolve Susanamon onto that tamer, just like a tamer being a level 6 Digimon. So Susanamon is more of a last resort card for me on this deck list because I really don't want to commit so much cards on a single Susanamon. Just in case Susanamon gets deleted, then it all goes south for me. So Susanamon is more like an emergency card for me on this kind of deck list. Okay, now we're done with our Digimons. Let's move on to our tamers. So our tamers are actually quite crucial because, as I've said before, all of our level 4 Digimons can actually Digivolve from a tamer, and some of our Digimons here can cheat Digivolve into from a tamer with their effects. So first stop is the 4 copies of Koji Minamoto. Koji Minamoto, what he does is, once per turn, we may place 5 cards with hybrid on its trait from our hand onto this tamer on any order, and then we just skip Digivolve into Magnagarurumon, which is ridiculous. So yeah, Koji Minamoto can just warp Digivolve into a Magnagarurumon in the blink of an eye, but be careful though, because you are kind of like putting all your eggs on a single basket if you are doing this early on the game. And if for some reason your Magnagarurumon gets deleted, then suddenly you don't have any hand cards and it's a bad news for you. So be careful on using this effect of Koji Minamoto. So another effect of Koji is actually an ESS. Yes, during BT07, Bandai actually released some tamer cards which gives some inheritable skill to our Digimon. So Koji's ESS is, whenever it's our turn, once per turn, when an effect adds a card to our hand, we gain +1 memory, and this Digimon can't be blocked for the turn. So it all makes sense because Magnagarurumon actually adds some cards onto your hand by his effect, which is returning one of our hybrid Digimons onto our hand. So which means we can gain +1 memory and Magnagarurumon can be unblockable. This is not limited to the effect of Magnagarurumon. For example, if we had the Upamon draw, it can still trigger Koji's +1 memory because drawing with Upamon is actually a card effect. Next on our tamer list, we have the 2 copies of Davis Motomiya. So Davis Motomiya's role here is just the same as any other blue decks out there, which is he has the generic tamer skill, which gives you the automatic 3 memory at the start of your turn. And as a bonus, whenever we play Davis Motomiya, we can dig up 3 cards of our deck and get a blue Digimon from those 3 cards. So Davis Motomiya is just a really good card. I mean, I think he might be the best tamer for blue at the moment. Okay, next on our tamer list, we have the single copy of Sora and Joe Kido dual tamer from BT05. So I included Joe and Sora here because first, we have a lot of effects which strips our opponent's evolution source. And therefore, maybe that +2 memory that Sora and Joe Kido gives whenever it's the start of our turn and our opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution sources can be handy. As well as whenever we attack with our blue Digimons, we can actually just suspend this tamer and we can strip another one of our opponent's Digivolution source. So I included just a single copy of Sora and Joe Kido. So if you wanna change him into maybe another Davis Motomiya, it's up to you. But for me, I think a single copy would work well on this deck. Okay, lastly on our tamer list, we have the single copy of another new tamer from BT07, which is Tomihime. So what Tomihime does is, on play, we get to trash the bottom 3 cards of our opponent's Digimon's evolution sources, which is really good. And as a bonus, he has an ESS wherein once per turn, whenever this Digimon attacks, one of our opponent's Digimon without any Digivolution sources can't block or attack until our opponent's next turn. So this is more of a offense-defense kind of card because we can actually target a blocker with no evolution sources. For example, if our opponent just hard plays a Craniumon for some reason or hard plays a Mechanarimon, which is really annoying. So if we have a hybrid Digimon Digivolve into Tomihime and it attacks, and suddenly if the opponent's blocker doesn't have any Digivolution sources, that blocker can't block until the end of our opponent's next turn. So Tomihime is a really good card just to stun lock your opponent. Okay, now we're almost done with our video. We are moving on now to our option cards. First, we have the 4 copies of Icewall. I think Icewall is just the best option card at the moment. Not even just for blue, but the whole Digimon TCG game for me, because I think Icewall is just ridiculously strong with his effects being first, your opponent's all of your opponent's Digimon gains the ability of it gets -2 memory whenever they attack, and second, if this is getting security checked, we gain +2 memory. So yeah, Icewall, 1 cost, ridiculous effect. Put 4 copies on your decks, please. Okay, next on our option card list, we have the new BT07 option card, which is Starlight Velocity. So what Starlight Velocity does here is we can play 1 Tamer card or Digimon card with Hybrid on its straight from our Digimon's Digivolution source onto play. So for example, we did the Warp Digivolve of Koji into your Magnagarurumon, and you have another Magnagarurumon on your evolution source. Then if we play this Starlight Velocity, we can have that Magnagarurumon from our evolution source onto the play without paying its cost. So for 3 costs, this option card is quite okay, I think. And as a bonus, if this gets security checked, we can play 1 Koji Minamoto from our hand or our trash without paying its memory cost. So this is another good clutch card. I mean, if you are looking for if you wanna just straight up cheat your way onto your Koji Minamoto, then having this security check from your security pile isn't so bad. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I also have a Facebook page at SaberKlein, and of course, as usual, I'm gonna put up a link for the sample gameplays of this deck list so that we would know the power level. I mean, we can just gauge the power level of this deck list. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Till next time, peace out.